If you have a glitch in the Matrix or any other kind of strange and scary story, send it my way by going to astheravendreams.com. And of course, thank you. I was at London Liverpool Street, train station, where I had emerged from the toilets. Ahead of me, coming down the steps, towards me from the upper level, were two distinctive police officers who I paid attention to, given they looked so unusual. Not your typical police officers. On the left of me was a dainty woman in a uniform that seemed to barely fit her, and on the right was a thin, suspiciously young man, who looked like he was barely 20 years old, who had an old man-style Victorian-era sideburns. Both wore helmets and high-vis jackets, and I stared extensively at the man's unkempt Victorian-era sideburns. Now, I was under the impression the police force have regulations regarding hairstyles. When you see police officers on TV, they usually have very short hair or are bald, and usually have well-kept beards. I tried to examine these thinking they weren't real police officers, maybe PCSOs, that's Police Community Support Officers. But no, their backs had the word police on it, not PCSO, and it's against the law to impersonate a police officer. I noticed as they walked past me that they appeared to be walking towards the exit from the station, which was a fair distance away, about 30 seconds worth or more of walking. I went past them towards the corner end of the station. My train was delayed, so I sat down to wait. In front of me was a sectioned off area of a train platform, with walls roughly where I expected my train to arrive. I sat there for about a minute, with wide vision of the area, and did not unfix my gaze, as I was impatient. I could not afford to miss this train, and I kept staring at the area. I did not look behind me, or down, or even look left or right. In front of me was a pillar. Behind it, a dark area with light. Above the pillar was a clock. To the slight left of the dark area was the last platform and rails, to the slight right the stairs the police officers had come down. Whether it was open area or walled off, it did not matter. I had vision of the area. After a minute, from behind the pillar in front of me, walking in the exact same direction, were the exact same female and male police officers I saw earlier. Sideburns, small woman, high-vis jackets, everything. That wasn't possible. There were no doors around there, and I did not see them go around the pillar or go behind the stairs they came down. I had a wide, clear view. It was literally as if they spawned behind the pillar. Even assuming they had traveled there for that to have happened, they would have had to have waited until I sat down, immediately did a 180 from where they were walking as soon as I stopped looking at them, quickly gone behind the stairs, waited somehow for a split second where I was not concentrating, whilst looking that way, skipped behind the pillar, and then stepped out. As in, completely un-police officer-like behavior. There's no walking pattern that they could have taken from when I last saw them that wouldn't be borderline insane. At 180ing from where they came from, running up another set of stairs, running all the way across, jumping back down and then walking again, doing a 90-degree turn to a wall, going, a wall, then turning 90 degrees again before deciding that you actually liked walking in your original direction. I even got up to confirm. Yes, there was a wall extending from the pillar to the back of the section I could see. There was one clearly unused one-way service door, more akin to a fire escape door, but it was locked. I didn't hear a door close. Even if we assumed they walked there, why? Why did they walk to an empty part of the train station in a hidden area behind a pillar where nobody was standing? Why sneak to there? If you ask me, I'm pretty sure they despawned at the station exit and respawned there. Even their walking animation was unchanged. The order of which they were unchanged. I'm confident it is in order to fabricate the perception the train station had real activity. I would be skeptical if I hadn't just seen it with my own eyes. Hey Raven, long-time listener here, but first-time submitter. I have two stories that are seemingly small, but that I can only explain as being glitches, as nothing else makes sense. The first story I have has been read on another smaller glitch channel before, so if anyone here has heard it before, that would be why. I travel a lot as an out-of-state college student, between going home for the holidays and visiting my long-distance, at the time of the story, boyfriend. Side note, we didn't break up. We just recently got engaged, making him my fiancé now. I always travel in and out of DFW, and specifically out of the same gate as I'm usually only flying to and from the same place, on the same airline. All of this is to say that I really know the airport, and especially this terminal. When I first started flying out of this terminal, it was pretty cruddy and run down. But within the first year of traveling, it had been completely renovated to a gorgeous, almost futuristic-looking terminal. Prior to the renovations, the one thing I hated most about the terminal were the bathrooms. There was a single women's bathroom in the area, with only a handful of stalls. A majority of them didn't lock, and the ones that did had such wide gaps by the door that I swear I could stick my hand through the gap and shake someone else's hand. Plus, make eye contact with the person in the stall next to me, if we happened to stand up at the same time. After the renovations, the bathroom was amazing. All of the stalls are floor to ceiling now, and it's just super nice all around. Anyways, there was a time post-renovations that I had just got to my gate and had a bit of time to spare, so I went to use the restroom. To my shock, when I entered the bathroom, it was not the glorious renovated bathroom that I had grown to love, but the rundown janky bathroom from before the renovations. I was truly confused and a little bit disoriented by it. I stepped out to see if I was in a different terminal this time and hadn't realized it somehow, but sure enough, it was the nice new terminal. I went back in, quickly did my business, and got out of there. A few weeks later, when arriving back at DFW from my trip, I was coming into the same terminal. I got off my flight and went to the same bathroom again, but this time, it was back to its nice renovated self. Did I somehow step into a time portal bathroom or something? I'm not sure, but it truly weirds me out. This second story takes place around Christmas of 2021, but I swear I can replay it in my head like it was yesterday. That's how weird it was. My siblings and I were all home for the holidays. We all were, / still are, in college and grad schools in different states. Since this is one of the very few times we were all together in the same place, we were catching up and wrapping presents. My sister and I were sitting in her room with the door shut, so that no one would see what we were wrapping and spoil their presents, and our brother would come in intermittently to join us. We had probably been wrapping presents for about an hour or so, and we had a pretty good system down, where we would take turns wrapping a present, the other person helping to cut the paper and hold edges down when needed, so the other person could tape. We were having a conversation, and I had handed the scissors to my sister, as it was her turn to wrap a present. She cut the paper and then set the scissors next to her for a second, so she could pull up a picture of someone to show me. We continued wrapping presents and then set it off to the side when it was finished. I pulled out the length of the wrapping paper that I needed, and then asked her to hand me the scissors. She reaches to her side but realized that they weren't there and said that she must have already handed them back to me. I looked around on the floor, but they weren't by me. So I lifted up the wrapping paper as I thought, maybe, I had rolled it out over the top of them. But they weren't underneath it. We looked at each other puzzled. I proceeded to look under the bed, thinking that one of us could have accidentally pushed them under, but they weren't there. This turned into a 20-minute search of her room. On top of the bed, the dresser, nightstand, checking under the paper again, etc. Literally everywhere. But they were nowhere to be found. She asked me if we had possibly wrapped them in the previous present, as we'd been pretty engrossed in our conversation and could have overlooked them. So, we unwrapped the previous present, but no, they're not there. We were both starting to feel pretty weirded out. Our brother then knocked on the door and came in. We explained the situation to him and he joined our search party. I kid you not, the three of us looked all over the room again for a good half hour, to no avail. Finally, freaked out and defeated, we went downstairs to tell our mom, because we were so confused. It had to be hysterical from her perspective, seeing her 3 grown children walking into her office, utterly terrified, because the scissors had seemingly ceased to exist. We tell our mom, and she follows us upstairs into our sister's room. The first thing she does is lift up the wrapping paper that we had already looked under 3 times, and boom, they're sitting right there. We were all shocked. I guess moms really can find anything. Hi, Raven. I sleep to your stories almost every night, and honestly, they're very soothing. I've never posted before, this is my first time, but I always listen to all your podcasts. Thank you. Now, I will tell you my story. It all began around 2020, when COVID-19 hit, and everyone was stuck at home. I belong to a religion with specific customs, such as praying multiple times a day and fasting from dawn to dusk during a particular time of the year. This detail is important because it plays a key role in my story. During 2020, while many were fasting, it became common for people to stay awake until dawn so they could eat before sunrise. Around this time, many young people in my country, particularly those aged 15 to 30, became captivated by a man who gained fame by dancing live online to keep everyone entertained. It was an unusual phenomenon, but it brought people together, almost like a virtual social gathering during a period when everyone felt isolated and had nothing to do. However, due to my country's mix of strict religious norms and political instability, this man was eventually arrested. During his arrest, he was allegedly harmed, and his death was widely reported. I remember vividly how his lifeless images circulated on social media, and many people that I knew mourned him. Despite his peculiar behavior, he provided a much-needed distraction during a challenging time. Here is where things get strange. Just a few days ago, I saw people sharing his latest livestream, and I was utterly confused. I clearly remember the reports of his death, and the photos proving it, so seeing him alive now felt absurd. I have since moved to a different country, and I shared my thoughts with my husband during a call. He laughed it off, saying he recalled the man going silent after his arrest, but that he was never declared dead. I don't know what happened, but a lot of things I remember seem different from how others recall them. It's honestly making me feel like I've shifted realities, and I'm left wondering how long things have been like this. I wish I could see what's happening in the timeline I originally knew. Every time I try to revisit the past, this scenario seems to change. Thank you for reading my story, and I hope your audience can relate to this strange experience as much as I do. Hi, Raven. I'm so glad to hear that you're feeling better. Thank you. I've been binge listening to these stories, and it inspired me to give you one about a small glitch I experienced earlier this year. Ever since my early teen years, I've noticed a small phenomena where random items go missing. This was before the term glitch in the Matrix, so I wouldn't call it that. My 12-year-old self described glitches, specifically things that inexplicably disappeared and then reappear, things that are flung into the fifth dimension, go for a spin and then drop back into my lap. It wasn't due to forgetfulness or negligence. Some things did inexplicably vanish, especially things that I treasured. Sometimes things that weren't mine liked to also disappear. One time, my mother was absolutely convinced that someone stole her Nickelback CD. This was the early to mid-2000s before smartphones became a thing and streaming took over the world. It never came back, but some things would, and in the most random of places. Sometimes I feel it was just me being a child trying to make sense of the world, coming up with explanations for things to help me feel better. Today, I now know that I was onto something. I'm starting to wonder if this phenomenon is connected to the complex that I live in. Like you, Raven, I'm a Kansas City local. Yo, Kansas City mentioned. I've only moved around a few times, but the only instances where these glitches happened has been in a complex that I grew up in. Then, in later adulthood, moved back into again just a block away. For obvious reasons, I can't tell you where I live. But I live relatively close to where former President Harry S. Truman once worked. In that, there's an alleged ghost child that occupies a restaurant close by. Curious things happen here. Anyway, I've never experienced glitches anywhere else. Not my first apartment, or my second or third. There was that one time living with my in-laws, I swear there was a spirit portal that opened up, and it smelled so awful, like a rotting corpse filled with something rancid, and my spouse dealt with night paralysis at the time. Another story for later. This brings us to the heart of my tale. The latest sacrifice given unto the fifth dimension, or glitch as I describe now in 2024, I had these wireless earbuds that comfortably wrapped around my ear. They are a bit larger than regular buds, and subsequently easy to see, easy to find. I could shake my head or do a handstand and they would stay on. They were so nice. I used them frequently to listen to podcasts and music, and often did so while folding laundry in my bedroom. Nothing like listening to scary ghost stories while folding socks, right? One evening, I finished putting up said socks. I was exhausted from a day on my feet doing housework all day. I threw myself into bed and took my glasses off, sitting them on the side table. Then, my earbuds. Except I missed my mark, and one of the earbuds dropped to the floor. With my blurred vision, I watched it fall. I saw where in the general area it fell. In front of the dresser, close to a wall and beside the side table. Annoyed, I got out of bed, put my glasses back on, and turned on the side lamp to look for it. Like I said, these earbuds are large and hard to miss. They shape around your ear, so it's not like it can get trapped in a small corner somewhere. It was gone. I began to tidy up the area, thinking maybe it somehow bounced into the sock drawer that I was too lazy to close. No. I looked under the dresser, where there are decorative gaps at the bottom. Not there either. It hadn't bounced into or onto anything. The side table was actually a tiny bookshelf, so it was solid without feet propping it up, and it was too close to the wall for anything to fall behind it. I started detail searching, and nothing. I watched it fall on the carpet and it vanished before my eyes. I saw it happen, and when it did, something deep down told me it was gone for good. I just had to try hunting it down before accepting the truth. It had flung itself into the fifth dimension. Why did it have to happen to all of my favorite things? It was the left one, the dominant earbud that connected to my phone, so the right one was useless to me. I still keep it on my side table just in case the left one decides to come back to me, but I'm not holding my breath. I have since bought a replacement pair, and I make a mental note to keep them together and in the case when I'm not using them. That was the fatal flaw I had made that day. I didn't put them in their case. If I had done that, who knows? Maybe the glitch wouldn't have happened. Thanks for reading my story, Raven, and wishing you well. I'm not usually a very good storyteller, so I will do my best here. This is something that I witnessed a couple months ago, and my kids keep telling me that I need to share the story. One early Saturday morning, I was up before anyone else in the house was up. I had some coffee and watched a little TV. Then I decided to tidy up the kitchen a bit, wash the few dishes in the sink. There's a kitchen window over the sink where our two outside farm cats, one orange cat and one black, who are never allowed in the house, sometimes come to say hello to us if they hear us. We never open that window. We just say hello back by tapping on the window and saying our normal, "Hello, kitty kitty." So, as I was washing the dishes, our orange cat, Dennis, was in the window, rubbing on it. I tapped the window and said a few things to him. I like to think they understand what I'm saying through the window glass. I got done with the dishes, grabbed another cup of coffee, and then sat back on the couch. A half hour goes by, and I start hearing some noises. I can't figure out exactly if it's from upstairs, the attached garage, or the basement. I feel a little scared by the noises, so I just sit and wait, and hope that someone else gets up soon. Then, another half hour or so later, I look to the side of me and see the orange cat Dennis walk through the kitchen, heading to go upstairs to the second floor. Of course, I grab him and set him back outside our front door. I think to myself, shoot, the garage door must be open. What other animals got in? I went to check the garage and the door is still locked, and all the windows are shut. My husband then came downstairs, and I told him what happened, and then made him go down to the basement with me to check the windows. They were also all locked up. The direction the cat came in would have had to have either been through the garage or from the basement, but according to all the windows and doors, that wasn't possible. Out of curiosity, I checked every window and door in the house, and everything was locked up tight. This incident will forever boggle my mind. I've never posted here, but this weird thing just happened and I can't really explain it. I was changing a light bulb, and it's above my kitchen table. It just kind of hangs on its wire, that's how it was designed. But that's besides the point, I think. So, I was changing it from one round bulbous bulb to a larger round bulbous bulb. Also, the new one is opaque white, whereas the smaller one is that yellowy tinted vintage LED style. Two completely different light bulbs. Merely, they're the same shape, like a ball. So, I got the small one out and proceeded to screw in the larger one, while holding the smaller one in the same hand I'm using to hold on to the light fixture steady, while I screw the big one in there. I said to myself, I should have put this bulb down first. I feel like I'm gonna drop this crap right, and then I dropped it. The smaller bulb. Now, keep in mind, I am standing on a hard surface, kitchen table, which is standing on another hard surface, hardwood kitchen floor. There are no soft surfaces in this room in the house. It's a kitchen. So the bulb slipped out of my hand, and I braced for the sound of glass shattering, and I'm thinking about the mess that I'm going to have to clean up. But there was no sound of glass shattering. No sound at all. And I can't find this light bulb that I dropped anywhere. I'm freaking out right now. What is this? Where is the smaller light bulb? And why did it not shatter or make a sound when it inevitably hit either the table or floor upon slipping from my fingers? I'm at a complete loss. It's as if the bulb never existed. But there is a completely different light bulb in there now, so explain that. Has this ever happened to anyone else? When I was 11, my mom's friend got me a necklace with a big amethyst stone, about 1.5 inches tall, 1 inch wide, and 1/2 inch thick, carved into the shape of a raindrop. He said that it would protect me from evil spirits, and it was my favorite color, so I loved it. I wore it everywhere, even when asleep. After a few weeks, I noticed that I was feeling pretty tired all the time. I complained to my grandma about how tired I was, and she said that amethyst drains your energy. I was super disappointed, but I believed her and took it off. I set it on this chest in the hallway while I went to the bathroom. It was right outside the door, and I planned to put it in my backpack after I was done. But when I came out less than a minute later, it was gone. I asked my grandma if she saw what happened to it, but she said that she didn't. She was washing the dishes in the kitchen, and the sink was on an island counter facing the hallway. And she would have seen one of my cousins or siblings if they had come inside and grabbed it. And I would have heard if anyone had come down the hallway, because it was an old trailer with creaky floorboards. And you could always hear where people were in walking. I also heard the dishes in the sink the whole time I was in the bathroom. So it's not like my grandma could have run over and grabbed it without me hearing her. I opened the chest, pulled it away from the wall, and looked behind it. Lifted it, looked under it. It was gone. I was so upset. Every time I went back to my grandma's house, I looked for it again, until the year that she moved out. But it never turned up. I'm sure most people who watch Glitch in the Matrix content know about the Fruit of the Loom cornucopia. But if anyone doesn't, there are many accounts of the Fruit of the Loom having a cornucopia behind the fruit in the logo. While the company claims to have never had one there, it's pretty weird. People claim it's an instance of the Mandela effect. I would recommend looking it up if you're curious. I want to share my account of this glitch. I have a very distinct childhood memory, around the age of 6 or 7, of standing in the underwear aisle in Walmart while my mom shopped. I was examining the logo on a pack of socks, listing the fruits. Apple, green grapes, purple grapes. I thought the yellow berries were lemons, and the leaves behind the grapes were spinach. But I didn't know what the big, brown fruit was. I asked my mom, and she described it as a cornucopia. It's like a basket for displaying fruit. I said that I wanted one, and she said maybe around Thanksgiving. I remember when I was around 12, looking at a new pack of underwear and being slightly disappointed that they changed the logo. I learned about the glitch pretty recently, and I googled it. The recreations of that version of the logo look exactly how I remember it. I don't know if this is an indication of us jumping timelines or just a programming mistake in the Matrix, or what. And with that, my friends, I say, that was this week's Glitch in the Matrix collection. A collection of stories where things operate outside of our understandings of reality. Stories that are just downright weird. Things disappearing, cats doing things they're not supposed to, airports undoing progress in their construction, and yeah, weird stuff for sure. Great stories as always in my opinion, and of course, if you think so, that'd be great as well. In fact, I would say that if you do think so, please consider hitting that like button on this video. That's right. If you liked the stories and like the video, consider liking the video. Redundancy. If you're new to the channel and liked what you heard, consider hitting the subscribe button. That'd be awesome. If you want to get early access to content like this, join my memberships, which is down below the video, or go to the Patreon link that's also down below the video, and sign up for early access. I also do have signed posters for sale. I am numbering them as I'm signing them, so we're still in single digits for both posters. So if you want to be one of the first 10 to have one of those posters and have it signed and numbered, just go to the Ko-fi link, that's K-O-F-I, down below the video, possibly in the pinned comment. Yeah. They're fairly cheap in my opinion, 15 plus whatever I marked for shipping. I think it was $7.95. So I think $22.95 total. And if you buy both of them, you do not get charged for double shipping. It is one shipping cost for both posters. And if you order them, I promise to send you more than just the posters. You will also get stickers. And maybe some other stuff that I have. We'll see. You can also do a super thanks, which is a tip to the channel. Send your stories into astheravendreams.com or astheravendreams@gmail.com or Reddit r/theravensdream. All of those are valid ways to get stories to me. Yeah. Get them to me. I'll read them over. Probably use them. Most likely use them. Just know there is a delay because I did receive a lot of stories last month. And when everything went kind of silly, a lot of people pitched in and sent their stories in, which is kind of funny, but also appreciated. I think that's about everything. Probably missing something. Who knows? Who cares at this point? Not me. I always say the same thing in these outros, but I say it each time, so I don't reuse the outros over here at all. They're re-recorded every single time I do a video. Because I'm crazy like that. Yeah. The other thing that we do on Glitch videos is the word of the week. On the screen, right this moment, and several moments prior to this moment, is a collection of all the beautiful, beautiful people who sent their comments into the comment section. They didn't send them in, they just left comments. With last week's word of the week. Last week, the word of the week was repeat. I'm not going to repeat that one. And a number of you left a comment with that word. Thank you to each and every single one of you who did. Every one of you on the screen right now are amazing. If you didn't leave a comment, that's totally okay. I never expect anyone to, but it's appreciated. So, again, thank you. Now this week, the word of the week is one that's a little more difficult to use, especially whenever I ask you to not use it about me. Because whenever I do anything that's pleasing or pleasant, people like to say, oh, your voice is pleasant, and so forth and so on. So I ask, try not to make this one about me. I don't want to inflate my ego too much. This week, the word of the week is euphony. E-U-P-H-O-N-Y. It means pleasing or sweet sound, or a harmonious succession of words having a pleasing sound. It is French in origin, if you care. Yeah. Use euphony in a sentence. Yeah, whatever sentence, it don't matter. Use it in a sentence. You get featured next week on the Glitch video. So, thank you to everyone who listened to this point, and if you didn't, that's okay too. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week, my friends. I hope I see you again here very soon, but until then, remember you are loved, you are valid, you are important, you are the best you that you can be. Do not forget it, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And until next time, my friends, much love, and sleep well.